Hello, good evening, and welcome to People's Parliament. And I'm excited this evening as I'll be speaking to very young people. Not very young that I can beat them, but mostly they're young enough to be young. And so we couldn't hold this discussion last week, Friday, because where we were working from, the internet was not very kind with us. But we are here on Monday specifically to accommodate these young voices and discuss the 2021 elections. So, good evening.
Good evening, comrade. How are you? And I'm very excited that we're having this today. I was extremely sad that it didn't happen on Friday, but I'm glad that we're having it today. So I'm very well and very excited about it.
Thank you. I'm super excited as well. And thank you for agreeing to be part of the show. Comrade Muleta, how are you?
I'm all right, comrade. And greetings to all those that are following us right now. My voice may not be very good because I have sore throat, but we hope that we can keep this discussion burning and interesting.
Okay, we pray that you get your vaccination as soon as you can afford to. So, comrade, the discussion today is youth participation in the 2021 elections. And I want us to be as explicit as possible so that we can paint a clear picture of what it looks like for a young person participating in this coming election. First of all, as a voter, and secondly, as a candidate. You are coming from Youth for Parliament, which is a movement for young people that is advocating and pushing for young people to participate as candidates and go to Parliament. I'll start with you, Given. What does the reality look like? Do we have enough young people aspiring to stand for MPs? Do we have enough political parties and platforms where these young people can be accommodated? I want to hear from you. What's your situation? What is the situation looking like from your end?
Thank you so much, comrade. First of all, let me start by stating that in an ideal situation, we shouldn't be having a discussion as framed as youth participation in 2021 general elections. In an ideal situation, we should have a situation where everyone is equally participating to an extent where we just discuss the elections in general. So that would be an ideal situation that I would want to see, a situation where every eligible citizen is given an equal playing field or an equal playing ground, such that we shouldn't be discussing youth participation in isolation. That would be my ideal situation. But here we are. That's not the situation on the ground. So here we are. We have a situation where young people are the majority of this country's population. The ages between 15 to 35 make up majority of Zambia's population. That's one thing that's very important to note. One, the people, the legislature, which is our parliament, where decisions concerning how the country is to be run, policies and laws and everything are decided there. And yet the majority of this nation's population have very minimal representation. If democracy is rule of the majority, we can see the disparity there. So in me saying that, I think the current situation is very visible to everyone. We can tell by how many young people we currently have in parliament, one. Two, we can also tell by the situation in the political parties. I've always been one to say we are always quick to cry that we do not have young people in government and we do not have young people in parliament. But let's look at these problems actually begin within the political parties, comrade. If we hold elections within the political party, and even the position of youth chairperson is not given to a youth, then we are able to see that we will still not get numbers even when the actual elections do come, because young people have been rejected from within the very political parties that they belong to. So if we ask what is the current situation on the ground, the numbers of young people that that are being given and that are actually coming up and taking up these spaces, it's very minimal. If you ask me, it's not something to be proud of as young people. And I think this is why I'm glad we're actually having this conversation. So the current situation is very saddening. One, our political parties. Secondly, if our political parties do not even entrust us with leadership positions within the political parties, then we are given a picture of what the the current adoption process will be. So that's what I would say about the current situation.
Thank you very much, Given. And Muleta, what does it look like from your position? What's your summary of reality relating to young people participating in the forthcoming elections? Of course, we have seen a number of them aspiring to about standing here and there, but we still would like to understand what does that look like from your perspective.
Thank you very much, comrade. I want to give a background to youth participation, especially from a youth for parliament perspective, and what we have done so far, where we're coming from, and how we have been preparing for 2021 elections. And our preparation in terms of the actual participation of young people, either as voters or as candidates themselves, goes all the way back to 2018 at Mulungushi International Conference Center. Now, in 2018 at Mulungushi International Conference Center, we did sign social contracts with about 8 political parties. And this includes the Greens and the Reds, that's the UPND and the Patriotic Front. And it must be known from all those that are following us right now, and the youths in the Patriotic Front, the youth in the UPND, the youth in NAREP, the youth in the MMD, and the other political parties that were parties to this social contract. That's why it starts from. Young people decided they wanted to participate in these elections, the 2021 elections, and decided to sign a social contract with their political parties, seeing that the major barrier that they were facing is deliberate exclusion on the basis of age and on the basis of resources. So to fight and to circumvent ageism and commercialization of politics, Youth for Parliament coordinated itself and came together and signed this social contract. I was there, my eyes saw the former Secretary General for UPND, Mr. Katuka, was there signing on behalf of the UPND, and I'm meant to believe that that is very much binding up to now. The Patriotic Front, I was there, and my eyes saw Comrade Antonio Mwanza signing on behalf of the SG, and that was the commitment they made from their side in terms of how they were going to engage young people and how they were going to make sure that all these barriers that we had identified that deliberately excluded young people's participation in these political parties were going to be done away with coming to 2021. So the young people of this country have been up and running, preparing to make sure that come 2021, they will be able to apply for adoption as per party procedures, and they will wait for equality. They'll wait for fairness in the adoption process, and that's what is happening. That's what they are hoping for right now. So the young people have stood on the word, and you know the Bible says, "Let no man despise thy youth, but be thou an example." And young people have been examples in this country. There have been examples in making sure that they mobilize on the ground, they mobilize online, and they defeat all stereotypes that are telling them, no, you are just social media socialites, and you're trying to make noise on social media. But young people are mobilizing from the east, the west, the north. I can mention names: Eastern Province, the thunderous George Manza is doing great things in Chipata. We have a young man, Samuel Kabongo in Mpika. We have Lukulu 1, Kalwena Kambala, representing the Patriotic Front in Lukulu. We have John Mwenda shaking the shaking Kabwe. So young people are doing something. But as Youth for Parliament, also our participation and what has been our focus of what is happening is that young people themselves are ready to vote for fellow young people. And even when there's a lot of donations going around bribing voters, we are continuously on the ground and reminding young people, vote for young people. But we're also following up on political parties right now so that they honor the social contract, because contracts are about integrity. If they can show us right now that they have no integrity, we are making a call out there that young people should not support any political party that continues to deliberately exclude young people. And we are ready to say that in public. Young people are ready, and the preparations and the wheels to go into parliament, the wheels to go in the council chambers are rotating.
Young people are broke, and democracy in Zambia is for sale. So it's not the ideas that we trade. We don't trade in ideas. We trade with money. How do you propose, and this is for you given, and obviously you can also respond to this, how do you propose young people address this reality that they are broke? Because political parties want people that have resources, and we see how these old people that they've retired, they've worked, they've retired, and they use their money to now invest in politics so that when they are voted in, then they start reaping from the government coffers. And yes, then they start benefiting from their positions of power. But young people are broke, and the only way they can be assimilated in these political structures is that they need to spend money. How can young people circumvent that problem?
You see, comrade, you're very correct in saying we are broke, and we admit that we are broke as young politicians. That is very accurate. So as Youth for Parliament, what we have been singing and what we have, every time that we engage with young people, we keep telling them, yes, politics in Zambia has been commercialized, but there's something greater than money, and it's people power. So we have the greatest strength that young people have is each other. We do not have the money that our grandparents that were competing against have. They've worked their whole lives. They're enjoying their pension, and it's what they're using to buy adoptions and whatnot. We do not have that. What we have is each other. Pilato, I did say that. I mentioned that we have majority in every community that we go into. So if we can tap into that resource that we have with each other, that's why we've been emphasizing on grassroots mobilization. And we've seen young people go out, like Muleta mentioned, in every province in this country. We have foot soldiers as Youth for Parliament who are there ready to work with young people that are contemporary. And we have people, even when we go to people, we genuinely go and we tell them, I am your child. Raised by you. I have seen your troubles. I have seen how you are suffering. I want to liberate you as my parents, as my brothers, as my sisters, as my people. What we have beyond the money that all these madalas have, it's each other, people power. It's about, we're hoping that in this election, we're hoping that, and we keep telling people, and we keep hoping that if somebody wants to give me a 50,000 comrade, because it is, and we keep telling you, it is your money, get it and eat it, but you know what is greater, and what is greater is getting the right people elected. And I'm very deliberate about saying I have so much faith in young people, and I believe that they have solutions to the problems that we're facing. And commercializing politics needs to be done away with, because we've moved from a point of dealing with ideas and dealing with development to simply the highest bidder getting elected. And we need to do away with that. So in answering your question, comrade, how we are beating the money bank politics is by believing in the power of people and just using the resource that we have, which is each other. As Youth for Parliament, we've ensured that we create networks between young people in each and every province, that when the time is right, which is now, we will then call on those numbers that we have to say, can we come up and do what is right, and not bank our future on just a few coins that they'll toss at us. So that is basically what we are firmly standing on. People power goes beyond any amount of money that can be given to any individual. I am proud that we're at a point where young people are awake to the fact that the little coins being dished out are nothing equivalent to the future that we have.
All right, Muleta, you are broke. Why should the political party pick you when you can't buy candy for them, when you can't bribe the chairperson or the secretary general? Why should they choose you when you cannot buy fuel for the chair lady? Why you can't? I mean, you can't even sponsor your own campaigns. Why should they pick a young person like you?
Thank you, comrade. Let me start by saying that corruption in Zambia starts from that very notion that for you to be identified within your party as the most capable leader, as the one with potential to transform your community, to lift the burdens of your community and go with them in the council chambers, that for you to carry the burdens of your constituents, of your district, and go and present them in the National Assembly, that you have to pay some ward chairman, that you have to pay some secretary general. That in the political system is where corruption starts from. And you know, the Bible talks about the end of the world, that there will be wars and rumors of wars. And right now, as we are heading towards the polls, we are hearing corruption and rumors of corruption within the adoption process. That should show us that corruption stems from right there. And tolerating that notion is what has led us to where we are, because they go with it up until they get into government. That system continues. You still have to find leaks so that you continue pleasing those people you have been giving money. But why should political parties choose a young person that has no money but yet has a heart for the people? The very fact that he has a heart for the people, because if they exist only on the grounds of unifying the forces of the elite, unifying a bit of some tenderpreneurs and briefcase politicians, unifying them and going together to parliament, if that is the sole ground of their existence, then they should not exist at all. Then they are the danger to society. They are the ones that will usher entrepreneurs in parliament, that will be thinking all the time about how they are going to buy a new tanker so they become the new middleman in the oil industry. They'll be thinking about how they are going to take over that new industry, how they are going to sign new FRA contract to transport maize from Kasama to Lusaka depots. They are going to be thinking about how they are going to make sure that licensing of liquor stores is in their custody, because that is their sole purpose. They are cartels that are looking at how they can find leaks within the government system and eat. They should not exist at all. The very fact that a young person has given themselves up to lift on their shoulder the burdens of their community and courageously speak out on the concerns of the community, that should be the reason why they should be adopted, because they are the ones that will liberate their community. They are the ones that will be affected the most, and have shown it that they will be affected. There's a saying that if you have come here to help me, I don't need your help. But if you are here because your troubles and my troubles are one, then come, let's work together. And that's what political parties should be about. We believe in transforming this community. And if you are here to help us with money, we don't want you go alone. But if you are here because your troubles are under our troubles, they emerge. Let's come together and work together. And that's the same message we should take to the community. If you, the community members, are seeing the problems from the way that we are seeing them, let's work together and let me represent you. Let me go with the list of your problems, the list of your aspirations. Let me go there and defend the constitution when need be. Let me go there and reform laws when need be. Let me go there and do land reforms, argue your case in parliament. That passion, that tenacity, that's why the political parties should adopt such young people. Because that courage is what we need to transform Zambia, to build self-sustainable communities. We need people from the communities that love their communities and are not thinking of owning properties in Dubai.
There is no.
Just to add on,
yeah. You can continue.
Just to add on, yes, just to add on to what Comrade Mleta said. So the idea is this, Comrade. If Comrade Mleta invests a lot of money in getting elected, his sole purpose after getting elected will be to retain his money with profit. If all I invest in being elected is my passion for my people, and all I have is the people power, even after I am elected, my only profit will be to return the favor to those people who supported me even when I had nothing. And how do you return the favor? By bringing the development that you promised them, by ensuring that the laws that you contribute to are actually what the people want. So here's the thing, and it's something that we as a citizenry need to be open to. If somebody is spending so much to get there, then they will spend their whole tenure in office getting their profit back. But if we rally behind a person who has nothing, and these are the young people, they have nothing, all they have is passion and brilliant ideas on how to bring development to our communities. All they will have is the very ideas, and ensure that their way of returning the favor to people who supported them when they had nothing is ensuring that they deliver on those developmental promises. And that's something that we keep preaching as young people. We're very able to the task. We have brilliant ideas. We have the strength in us. We will not go to parliament and sleep throughout. We will definitely deliver. So that is why young people should be adopted, even if they have 0 penny.
So I hear what you say, and I agree completely. But there is no scientific evidence that being old is a problem to delivering development. Can you demonstrate to me how old age is a problem in this case?
Thank you so much, Comrade.
The question is, I do agree with you. There's no scientific evidence to the effect that being old in politics is equal to failure to bring development to your country, your constituency, or your work. Can you demonstrate to me that being young is a solution to this, or being old is a problem to this? Can you demonstrate to me, like the people that are listening and watching this, can you paint it so clear that they know that, okay, so young people are a solution, and this is how old age has failed us, and this is how young people can bring this problem? Because if what you've just pointed out, for me, that is perfect. But at what point is age influential? At what point is the age a factor? If somebody is a thief, they will still steal at their young age. We have chaps that are in parliament, they're very young, and they've stolen, they keep stealing, they keep, some chap was just taking a grader to his constituency now. He's young, he's a young guy. So can you demonstrate to me that young age is the solution to our problem?
Okay, so I'll go first, that I will sum it up. First of all, our stance as Youth for Parliament has not been to disrespect the older generation. We acknowledge that they too obviously have a role to play as equally as young people have a role to play as well. But here's the thing, Pilato. If you have been in Parliament for 20 years, since I was in grade 1, there are people who have been in Parliament since I was in grade 1. Even if you've had...
Given Luminda is not standing anymore.
Pilato, I refuse to mention names, but I know a name has popped in your mind. I know as I speak, each one of you are calling them out in your minds one by one. There are people who have been in Parliament even before some of us were, even from the time we were in grade 1. Some of you, from the time you were born, you found them in Parliament. Even if you have brilliant ideas, if you have not executed them in the 20 years that you have been in Parliament, we do not trust that you will execute them even if we were to give you another 20 years. And I make no apologies when I say that. Even if you've had 20 brilliant ideas, if you have failed to execute them in the 20 years, 15 years, 10 years you've been in parliament, you do not deserve to be there. And this simply means the brilliant ideas that you had, even when you were being elected, the people that you made those promises, they already died. Some have died without ever seeing some of those promises that you made and what's not. We are a different generation. We are not calling. We're not. I have so much respect for my elders. So I'll obviously not be disrespectful even as we kick them out of parliament. We are respectfully saying, mwe bantu bakwalesa, mwe bafyashi, twapapata, twatotelofo mwatuchitira. Nombapa mwafika mwanaka, lekeni mutusheko tumiafweko mwe bafyashi. And that's, I apologize, I'm from Kasama, so the Bemba in me just comes out. But what I'm trying to say is, we are grateful for what they have done for this country this far. Age is catching up with them. We are grateful that they've set the path, they've done what they could. It's about time that they let the sons and the daughters that they have raised, unless of course they're not confident in how they have raised us. But if they are parents that are confident in how they have raised us as their children, it is time that they rest, and we must work for them now. We must now go into parliament and discuss issues and discuss legislature that will benefit this country. Mwebantu. Pilato, I know you said there is no science that shows that an older person will not bring development, but science, Pilato, will tell you that. If we are having a debate that is lasting a long time, the chances that my grandfather who's 80 would doze off and I will still be awake to debate it are very high. This is why we've seen instances where laws are put into place and they disadvantage the very people who were there. Because and our country is lagging behind because the people that we have put to Kuntanshe are lagging behind and they're dozing. So, Pilato, I disagree with you. The science there is that they are tired. Clearly, if they were delivering, the science there, Pilato, is that they are tired.
If they were delivering, they could have raised young people that they could trust with power, right?
Exactly.
Leta, what's your thoughts as well? Let me hear your thoughts on that same question.
Yes, so I'll not recant anything that Comrade Given has said, but I want to add that I agree with the framers of the Constitution and the framers of the labor laws when they decided that at a certain point in this country, a person should retire. And I don't think they did so that they open up space for others to come in. No, I think and I believe that they did so because at a certain level of your age, that productivity begins to lower down. And I see no logical reason why the Teaching Service Commission should say, go. Your productivity levels have gone too high. You are not going to benefit this 50 group of young children. You go and rest. The Bank of Zambia will say, look, you go and rest. The Bank of Zambia will say, look, you go and rest. The Zanaco will say, you go and rest. Konkola Kompa Mine will say, go and rest. The private company will say, go and rest. Why should then these very people that have been sent to go and rest, advised to go and rest? The law even provides for arresting. Tell you now that they are the one now who should go and make the most important decisions in our land. They are the ones that should sit in parliament and make the most important decision. The resting should come back.
I think it's because by then they will have accumulated enough resources to buy power, to afford a seat in parliament.
And that's the problem.
Enough money to buy a position in government, enough money to come and be a president or minister or chan. They couldn't do it before because they were broke just like you and me. So now after they've worked hard, they've been rewarded, and then now they have money. They can now hold positions of influence and of power in society. Don't you think that's the reason why they want to come and stand now? And for some of them, it's because they want to improve their CV, their resume, curriculum, to say, I started as this, I went there, now I'm a minister. So from minister, they're thinking from here, like career progression, come on guys. Let these old people also go to grave, to their grave.
Comrade, parliamentary work is work. Parliamentary work is work. You are assigned, you become a member of parliament, you are assigned to work in some committee. You are going to be receiving submissions on legislation, on policy, and you have to make a final decision and go and debate in parliament. Council chamber work is work. You have to be resolving conflicts. You have to be deciding on issues such as levies. That is work. Now, if we are going to leave this work to anyone that can buy it, these people, then we are strategically destroying our country by leaving it to the tired. No, of course they are men, and that's why our structure in society should be in such a way that those that have gone ahead should at the same time have groomed and trained capable young people, capable young men that can fight the battle. The battle for liberation of our economy is a battle that needs active people. The battle for the liberation of our political system is a battle that needs fully fledged active people. The battle for reform in this country needs people that are active. It is work. And people that are treating it like a honeymoon after you retire. They're treating it like a honeymoon, where you can rest, what you can be driven. And that's why we are where we are. People that are not serious at all, they think it's a retired package, so that people in your village can now call you honorable. It is work. And that's why we're saying young and capable people should come in and take over. Why else they still have fresh brains to debate issues, to look into their future and see what is it that is going to affect them should they make it today. The future belongs though to those that will be there. The question is, are many of those that are in parliament going to be there? No. They have probably secured their children and their family with some portion of money, somewhere. But for the majority of Zambians that are not secured in that way, it's going to be a very bad future. We are going to be crying. It's going to be hell. That's why we need people that are energetic enough and are going to be in the future, because some of them, God will take them back very soon.
I totally agree. I totally agree with you. I am totally agreeing with Mleta. You see, comrade, I laugh when you say perhaps they are adding to their CV. So now I'm wondering, so they can go and present it when entering gates of heaven, or what is the CV for? Because like Mleta says, if I am in a position of making legislation, I will obviously ensure that it is what's best for me, because when I'm making a program for my life, obviously I don't know how long I will live, but if I am planning, I am thinking I obviously have 30, 50 more years to live. And even at that, I am thinking whatever laws I enact, whatever effect I have on the education system, whatever influence I have on the health system affects my children, affects and obviously I know every decision I make will have an impact on the lives of my children, the standards of living of my children and whatnot. So I can think that way. But the people that we currently have, if somebody is 70, for instance, they are obviously, each day they wake up is a surprise, by the way. I'm sure they are thinking, even if I plan for next month, will I even be there? And their children have already gone to these expensive schools. They've already secured a future and a life for their children. So even if they make unsound decisions, even if they make unsound decisions in the legislature, it doesn't affect them or their children in any way, because they've secured all that. So the general word that I was avoiding to use is they simply do not care, because it will not affect them in any way. They don't care about the decisions that they make, because really they have lived their life. They've lived their lives. They've secured lives for their loved ones. But every decision that a young person that is entrusted with power, we are hopeful and we believe that they will make a decision knowing that every decision that they make will affect them. It will have an effect on them for the next 50 years, and will have an effect even on their children for the rest of their lives. And that really is something that we need to critically think about. We cannot keep entrusting our future in the hands of people who have lived their entire lives.
Okay, so I agree with you. I want to agree with you, and then I'll play a video. Then I want us to discuss the video after you've watched it. But to agree with you, I want to also mention that there is what they call Agenda 2063. I think 2063 or 2065. Agenda 2063 or 2065. Yes, it's an African Union document, which is a focus, or which is an aspiration for Africa as a continent. If young people are not part of the designing of that future, who is designing it? Because if somebody is 60 years today, give them Agenda 2065 or 2063, I can't remember which one it is, but it's 2060 something. It means that there is about 60 something more years. And if you look at our group of politicians, and what business do you think they have for the future? They may not even be there themselves. So I want to just share that so that I can agree with you. So let's have a look at this video, and then we can follow it up with 1 or 2, 3, 4 questions. Then we can go to read the comments, and we can even open 1, 2, 3 calls for that.
A few months ago, President Buhari signed the Not Too Young to Run bill into law.
The latest and most vibrant opposition to President Yoweri Museveni comes from a youth leader.
Nothing significant has happened for the youth. Zimbabwe has a fairly young population. Their feeling is their vote does not matter. But in 2018, they came out significantly. It was because of a charismatic 40-year-old presidential candidate. They wanted to emulate countries like Canada and France, but alas, the old order was retained. Nothing significant has happened for the youth.
The latest and most vibrant opposition to President Yoweri Museveni comes from a youth leader. Musician turned opposition politician Bobi Wine is just 36 years old. His People Power movement has a strong appeal for the youth, and his music carries heavy criticism of the government. Authorities have accused Bobi Wine of misleading the youth into unproductive activities and inciting the public to protest unnecessarily.
A few months ago, President Buhari signed the Not Too Young to Run bill into law. The law lowered the minimum age for people running for political office in Nigeria. This landmark move was a direct result of the online campaign #NotTooYoungToRun, which attracted the support of millions of young people across the country. However, many young people are not encouraged to participate because of high costs of running for political office, as well as other challenges like election rigging and vote buying. But the law has opened the door for young people to participate in politics.
Muleta, you did not see the video. Muleta, did you see the video?
No, comrade, I'm not seeing anything from here.
Given, did you see the video?
Yes,
No.
Given, did you see the video?
Is it supposed to pop up on my screen? I'm not seeing anything on my screen. I'm only seeing the three of us.
When I played you, what were you seeing just a few seconds away? What were you watching? What were you seeing when all of us were quiet?
Pardon?
What were you seeing? Okay, let me play it again. Let me know what you'll be seeing. So, Given, did you watch it?
Yes, I managed to watch the video.
Okay.
Do I need a separate phone?
No.
Because I'm using one.
Same phone, keep looking on the screen. I'm going to
What?
take again.
Okay.
A few months ago, President Buhari signed the Not Too Young to Run bill into law.
The latest and most vibrant opposition to President Yoweri Museveni comes from a youth leader.
Nothing significant has happened for the youth. Zimbabwe has a fairly young population. Their feeling is their vote does not matter. But in 2018, they came out significantly. It was because of a charismatic 40-year-old presidential candidate. They wanted to emulate countries like Canada and France, but alas, the old order was retained. Nothing significant has happened for the youth.
The latest and most vibrant opposition to President Yoweri Museveni comes from a youth leader. Musician turned opposition politician Bobi Wine is just 36 years old. His People Power movement has a strong appeal for the youth, and his music carries heavy criticism of the government. Authorities have accused Bobi Wine of misleading the youth into unproductive activities and inciting the public to protest unnecessarily.
A few months ago, President Buhari signed the Not Too Young to Run bill into law. The law lowered the minimum age for people running for political office in Nigeria. This landmark move was a direct result of the online campaign #NotTooYoungToRun, which attracted the support of millions of young people across the country. However, many young people are not encouraged to participate because of high cost of running for political office, as well as other challenges like election rigging and vote buying. But the law has opened the door for young people to participate in politics.
I know you didn't see it. How did you fall out? Okay, so later you will not see this video, don't worry. So in Nigeria, the president of Nigeria introduced a law called Not Too Young not too young to stand to lead. Yes, so the idea of the law was to allow as many young people as possible by law that they should be allowed to participate in these elections. My question was, looking at what is happening in these other countries where young people have taken the challenge to actually stand even for the position of presidency, do you think Zambian young people are in that space? Do you think there are young people in Zambia that you can look up to and say they can form a party and then they can, or they are already have a party, or they are heading towards this party? For young people coming together and aspiring to lead this country, do we have those in your from your perspective, from where you stand? Do we have young people also in this video? And given you, since you saw the video, I'd like you to respond, so then Molita can compare from you.
Okay, so comrade, in answering, do we have young people that can stand up and demand that such things begin to happen, as forming a political party, running, having young people run for president and whatnot? We are there. The answer is we are there, but we are very strategic as young people. The strategy is we realize that currently, for you to run as president, you must be 35 or above. And for that to change, that's a decision that should be thrown back to Parliament, amend that part and change that. But then, if we are not there, who will vote for it to go through that we lower the presidential eligibility age? We need to be there to push for it ourselves. If we have enough young people in Parliament, we can then begin to then let the people know why it's important that we lower the age for eligibility for president. And then, because even if it came up today in our current Parliament, it would fall off. It would fall off because we all know why, but it would obviously fall off. So yes, we do have young people who are vibrant and radical enough to stand and demand and come together and form a political party for young people, and even for the lowering of the presidential age, so that we can have a youth president so that I can be a youth president one day. It is very possible, and we do have these young people. We are there, comrade. Comrade Mleta can perhaps tackle the youth, the young people, and the forming of a political party. That's something that he would passionately tackle.
So no, what I want to hear from him is, I want to, because he had mentioned one thing earlier. He had mentioned something interesting earlier. He had mentioned the deliberate exclusion of young people. And you have mentioned age limit 35 years. So somebody aspiring for presidency should be 35 years and above. So I want Mleta to help me expose this deliberate move to exclude young people from these positions of power. So, what is the age for one to get married? Mleta, you are the lawyer. You need to tell us, what is the legal age for one to get married, for a young person to get married?
For a young person to get married.
Yes.
By 21, you could get married without even your without parental consent. At 21.
21, right?
At 21, you know that that you need to get. Yes.
Sorry. What is the legal age for a young person to start drinking and smoking?
18 years.
18 years.
Yes, comrade.
So, so you see, there's the age for a young person to start producing children is 21. The age for a young person to start getting drunk and smoking and doing all of those things is 18. But the age to be president, to stand for presidency, is 35. Why? What's the rationale there? Is it because they would want you to get busy producing children before you start thinking about standing for presidency? Or they want you to get busy drinking every weekend so you don't have to worry about your political ambitions of your country? Why is it like that? Is that the deliberate exclusion you were talking about? I want to understand that.
Yes. I would say it's the deliberate exclusion of young people. It's deliberate exclusion of young people. Why you put policies, you put laws that tell young people back off until you reach such an age, you will not be able to contest for this position. But those very young people are allowed to vote. So if you are allowed to make a very crucial decision that will give direction to your country, if you are allowed to make a decision that will decide who is going to take your country into bankruptcy, who is going to sell your country to any other country, if you are allowed to make such a decision, choosing whether or not you are going to be led by fools or the wise, whether you are going to be led by negligent people or people that are merely stupid, you are allowed to do that. Why can't you be allowed then to be the one to sit there and make those decisions? So it's deliberate exclusion, continuous deliberate exclusion, because even when you look at the framing of our constitution is an aspiration of the people. And when you look at the Constitution Amendment number 2 of 2016, it clearly gives an aspiration, a direction as to the aspiration of Zambian people as to the composition of parliament and council chambers. And it talks about fair representation. So it will be an insult to talk about fair representation and yet have clusters of eligibility that exclude young people, that you cannot be present. And I would ask the same question that you had asked, whether or not there's some scientific proof that until you are 35, you cannot make a presidential decision. No, until you are 35, there should be some scientific proof somewhere that until you are 35, you cannot be president. that you do not fit the shoe, that until you are 35, you cannot sit around the table of other presidents of other nations and represent your country's best interests. So it's total deliberate exclusion of young people we are seeing happening in Zambia and elsewhere where it is being practiced.
Okay, thank you very much. So I'm gonna get to the people's comments and see what they're saying about the show, what questions they're asking. And obviously, I would also allow for phone calls, a few phone calls, then we can proceed like that. So Mwewam Shota is saying what? Mwewam Shota is saying, Mwewam Shota is saying, good words, Konde Shanji, will stand together and support each other so that we can have youth presidents. Charles Zingoma is saying, no political debate on the ground. At constituency level, at district level, at provincial level, even in higher learning institutions coupled with poverty, we need to do more. Those are comments from our viewers. This is what Adrian Sakala is saying. We cannot be having old people decide the future they will not be part of. Apparently, there is a breed of youths online who are trained into a so-called cadres and cannot reason well. They have started discouraging others from politicking. Martin Mwango is saying, keep going. Plato, never join the corrupt team. The nation is watching you and we're happy for your stance today. Oh, okay. And I'm very about Martin. Remember, what is the corrupt team? Steven Sakala is asking, sometimes I wonder what is wrong with this country. Is it the devil or the people? Sylvia N. Chinika is saying they give an excuse that young people are inexperienced, but if they don't leave room for the young, in Shakespeare, seek of my queen. So I think you guys are responding to many of those comments and respond to specific answers, comments and questions that I've just shared so far. And I would ask you also, Given, to share with us about women participation in the forthcoming election, and because we want to hear about that. So women in general, but also young women in politics. So I would like Mleta first to respond to those comments, and when your time comes to respond, Given, you respond to these comments, and then you also lead us into a discussion of a young woman or women in politics and participating in the 2021 elections. Mr. Mleta, you can pick it up.
Thank you, comrade. So I'm very happy that fellow young people out there are also seeing what we are seeing from here.
Yeah.
And that they agree with us that time has come when young people must unite towards a mutual cause. And that cause, which has been highlighted by the first comment that you read out, is that yes, we can have a youth president. We can have a youth president, and if we agree, and that is our aspiration, then our aspiration should be supported, and our aspirations should be low. But I also want to agree with the other gentleman who was saying we don't see debates at ward level, we don't see debate at provincial level, at district level. And you see, in replacement of those debates, because the debates about proving yourself that you are the right candidate, that you are the one that are going to carry on your shoulders the concerns and the demands and the aspirations of your community, and take them before these systems, these houses that have been created by the system to address certain community collective issues. And instead of discussing your eligibility to represent these people, you start spreading sweets, you know? You start giving people sweets, start giving people bread. So the one that gives more bread becomes the lover of the people. You know, it's like what happens in our society. You that is paying school fees for someone, the young girl or young boy you are educating will not say thank you. Another uncle that will come and buy them shawarma that will be the anchor they love the most. So it also shows that even our citizens, even ourselves, we do not understand what it is really that we want, and we are deceived easily. And those debates, those conversations, could be the ones that are going to reveal who actually we can choose to represent our wards in the councils, to represent our constituencies, to represent our districts as mayor or council chairperson. So we need those debates, because then they'll prove to us who is eligible. We cannot be having someone from Mangango saying, Mr. Speaker, I'm speaking for the first time. 5 years. 5 years, the people give you a mandate, and you apologize to the Speaker of the National Assembly that you're speaking for the first time. You'd wonder whether that was I don't know, because whether that was ignorance or it was just mere stupidity, that someone you send to represent you does not represent you. Okay, so it's because we don't see these people talking. They have a campaign manager coming to speak for them and to talk to go on radio stations. Their job is to parade themselves and give goats, give beef, give cooking oil, and then you vote for them. You see they will just tell Makawana feshi ni chwa Makawana ichichana nkani kai ni chwa. So
let me hear from Given as well, because we're running out of time. So Given, can you also respond to that, and also lead us in the conversation on women participation in this coming election?
Okay, so thank you so much, Comrade. I just want to stress something that Comrade Mleta has already said, and it's very important we begin to have these conversations in the various political parties. Debates and discussions need to start taking place within the political parties. Rotten political parties are what are giving us rotten governments. Corrupt political parties are what are giving corrupt governments. The very corruption that we're seeing in our political parties when picking a councillor per ward level, when during this process, where I'm from, you hear the ward people now begin to now we shall eat chicken because now we are picking a candidate. The corruption that we're seeing now, it will not there. It's the same corruption that you just take it to government where they have access to more resources, and then now you begin seeing it and you begin crying corruption. It begins from our political parties. So all these levels of change and all these things that want to begin seeing change, to begin seeing them within the political parties. Rotten political parties, the ones that are giving us rotten governments. That being said, let's talk about something that I'm really passionate about. Deliberately, Pilato, I will not speak to women in general. I'm passionate. I'm a woman, obviously, so I'm passionate about women. Viva women, I'm feminist and all that. But what I want to focus on is young women in politics. We do have representation of women in our parliament currently. We acknowledge that as young women, we're women, we share certain similar struggles as the woman. But a young woman in politics is a different story. Apart from just the gender, whatnot, ageism is another fight that we're fighting, and a lot of exploitation going on for young women in politics, especially at this level of adoption. This is a conversation that we need. These are conversations that we need to openly start having, so that young women within these political parties are aware they do not need to give up their bodies for that adoption certificate. No one has the right to exploit them or ask for any sexual favors or any pleasure of any kind for them to get that adoption certificate. I'm using this platform to call upon all political parties to ensure that the young women in their parties know this and they are protected from this. There are scenarios where young women are told, oh, you want to stand as councillor, just come to this room number, I control the whole ward. After we are by the time we leave that room, you will be there already. And these things are happening. If we continue to be diplomatic about it and stay quiet about it and act cool like they're not happening, we will be doing a great disservice to young people, to young women in politics. I'm excited that we're seeing young women being adopted. I'm excited that youth females who've stood their ground in this political party now being adopted. And because the reason I'm even excited is because we do not have representation in parliament as young women. If we continue to count it as they are women in parliament, we are doing a disservice to youth, to young females in this country. Do not be misled. We have zero representation in parliament as young women. We do not have not even one youthful female in parliament. We need to get young women into parliament. It is hard for youth to get into parliament, but it is twice as hard for young women to get into parliament. Let's rally behind youth candidates. Let's rally behind, I'm deliberately saying, let's rally behind youth females and get them elected.
Thank you very much. So what I'm going to do is
I am very biased on that one.
Sure. I'm going to read a couple of comments, and then I'll ask each one of you to conclude by either commenting on the comments that I'll read out or just sharing a thought that you have just in conclusion. So the first comment is coming from Adrian Sakala. Adrian Sakala is coming for the second time. Thank you very much, Adrian. He says, there has been an organization advocating for youth, disabled and women representation in parliament. I heard on the news a few days ago. They are advocating for appointed representation from the youth, disabled and women. Will these representations hold much water? There's Favor Sichimwa Venzu. Favor is saying the reason we see people who are above 50 in government is because we, the youth of our time, we love comedy and pay attention to useless topics more than national issues. Example, see the number of people watching this program and see other useless pages and topics on Facebook. Their numbers are high. This tells me how unserious most of you are on, most of the youth are on national issues. This one is coming from Babli. He says, yes, guys, we need to do something about this. The old people have been keeping all jobs for the youths, and they are even happy about this instead of giving youth job opportunities, but they are busy spending the money on things that youths can't even benefit. Well, this is not right. This one is coming from Kosten Mukangwa. Kosten is saying, what is democracy, comrades? I would like to know if what is happening in Zambia is democracy, especially in the line of politics. Is tendency of violence with people entrusted with power inspire young people to be future leaders? We knew that education, this is coming from Mutelo, we knew that education is the key to success, but here in Zambia seems like corruption has taken place of it. Okay, I'm reading the last one. There's so many of them. This one is coming from Kasenga Kapansa. The laws we have, we need to work for us and not work against us. We set all these ages for marriage and holding office. KK was probably 39 at the time of independence, but had been fighting for freedom long before that. The youth are the future. We need laws that include the youth. I'm not talking about cadres. No, we are not talking also about cadres. Comrades, in conclusion, either you react to any of those things, or those comments, or you just share an independent thought, but in line with what we've been discussing. And it has to be very, very brief. I'll start. Who talks a lot between the two of you? It's me. Who's gonna start? Can you, Muleta, start?
Because I don't.
Sorry?
Let me start.
So, Muleta, can you lead us? Yeah, yes, you can conclude.
All right. So democracy is about us, the people. It's ruled by the people. This power will not be given to us. We have to grab it. We have to take it. We have to take it whichever way we can. We have to take it. But I also want to remind you, fellow young people out there, that the Lord gave a word to Joshua in Joshua 1 verse 9 and said, have I not commanded you? Be strong and of a good courage. Be not dismayed, neither be thou dismayed. Without dismayed, for the Lord thy God is with thee whithersoever thou goest. Young people, rise up Do not be afraid. Don't be dismayed. You see, we are standing together. We are each other's support system, and we will go wherever we want to go, be it parliament or council chambers. We are standing together. Not be afraid, not of violence, not of anything else, not of intimidation, not of resource constraints. We are going there, and we are going there with or without endorsements.
Thank you. Given, can you also share your concluding remarks?
As I conclude, I just want to first of all speak to the political parties, especially those that owe it to the young people. They signed and put it in ink, and they gave us their word. And if they cannot hold a signature, a signed document, and they cannot fulfill it and adopt young people, I am giving it to you that no promise that they make to you in this campaign period will be valid, because where they signed with their signature, if they fail to honor it, we as young people should then hold them by it and say we are not voting for any political party that does not adopt good numbers of young people. That is one. I would also want to speak to young people that are listening to this, that this is a time to be united as young people. I know each one of you have a right to belong to each political party that you belong to. So vote for any president that you want to vote for. But where you see a youth candidate, regardless of the political party you belong to, that is the candidate that has you at heart. And that is a candidate that will represent your interest. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And thank you very much, everybody that joined us. We are People's Parliament, and we continue having discussions on issues that affect society. This evening, I had the privilege of hosting Mr. Mleta Kapatiso and Ms. Given Musanya, and we have just concluded a very beautiful discussion. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.